This weekend is a really very important time in the yoga tradition. It is the festival of Guru Purnima, which is the full moon that honors the guru. And it's a time for people to have prayers and rituals and gatherings. And of course, a lot of people aren't, it's going to be more virtual gatherings this year. But time to come together and celebrate the presence of Guru in our lives. And for Westerners that have not grown up in India, this is kind of a difficult concept for us to grasp for many Westerners because we have so many negative associations with people who have claimed to be gurus and have fallen from grace and have abused their power in so many ways. I don't need to go into any stories. I know you've all heard the stories. And so, at best, you know, people are perhaps slightly mistrustful of the idea of having a guru. And at worst, people have these terrible associations with these people who have really abused their power and, like, you know, asking us to drink the Kool-Aid and things like that. So we have those associations. But in India, the concept of guru is very different. It's not so much about an individual person. It's a certain wisdom or enlightenment principle that shows up through a particular being or through many beings that come into our lives to guide us toward awakening. The guru can be a person. The guru can come through many people. Some of us have a whole team or family of gurus. And the guru can also be a series of life experiences. The guru can be woven right in through the universe and everything that happens to us that is a teaching for us. If we can learn to see everything that happens as a teaching, whether it's a difficult teaching or, you know, a joyful teaching, all of that is guru. It's that wisdom principle that is touching our life, that is gracing our lives. And there's a saying in India, guru, God, and self are one, which means that each one of us in our own ways is seeking that union with God. That's what yoga is, union with God, with the infinite, with divinity. And the guru is whatever person, being, or experience brings us. If it's a person, that person shows up, that God, that divinity shows up through that guru to awaken us to the divinity within ourselves. So guru, God, self, all one. It's like a full circle. So it's never that we give our power away to another individual in honoring a guru, because the guru is always, any true guru is always going to be pointing us back to ourselves, to the divinity within us, that God is within us. And so it's an interesting dance and learning about to see the presence of guru in so many different ways and to think of it beyond just being a powerful, charismatic person. Guru, God, self are the same. And what I'd like to do is invite you to think of someone in your life that has been guru for you. It could be a teacher or a saint that of, you know, from way back in history. It could be Christ, could be your guru. Buddha could be your guru. Or there could be an Indian saint that could be what you have connected with as guru. It could be a person that you have met, that you've known in this life, a teacher that you've known. It could be your grandmother. It could be the most unassuming person that you wouldn't think would be guru. I have a friend whose guru was a homeless person that he had met, that woke him up. The word guru means the one who removes the darkness of our ignorance so that our path can be lit to awakening. Guru, the one that removes the darkness of our ignorance and of our unknowing of our divinity. So that's what Guru truly is. So I want to invite, before I put you on mute, if you have someone in your life that has been that for you and you want to just say their name out loud so that we can dedicate today's practice to that Guru, and to all that is Guru in our lives, all the experiences, the people, and the moments of awakening that lead us to truth. So if anyone has someone who has been Guru or inspiration for you and you want to say their name out loud, feel free to do that. I will just show you behind me. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see. I have a whole array, little sort of makeshift altar that I've set up to many who I've considered my gurus, my great teachers. And of course, I have my Guru Neem Karoli Baba and my teacher Ram Das. And some of the people who have been my gurus are people like the Peace Pilgrim. And I'm not going to tell you about her yet, it would take too much time, but Swami Satchidananda, some of the great saints like Ramana Maharshi, the hugging saint Amar, Paramahansa Yogananda, great yogi, who was one of the ones who brought yoga to the West. So I encourage you this weekend, the Guru Purnima festival is on Sunday, to perhaps create an altar with pictures or even just names of your teachers, and see if you can find a way through your practice, through your prayers, through your meditations, to honor anyone or anything in your life that has removed the darkness for you, that you can celebrate as Guru. So come into your yogic seat, and I would like to begin our practice with a traditional invocation to the Guru. This is called the Guru Mantra. I will sing it, and I will tell you the translation. So take a moment to take your seat with your sitting bones anchoring down into the support of the earth. Lengthen up through your spine and let the lower ribs lift a little higher away from the pelvic bowl. Open the heart by rolling the shoulders back and down, letting the shoulder blades draw down the back body as if you're going to slip them in your back pocket. See if you can invite a little space between each of the vertebrae. As you lengthen through the spine, making sure that the back of the neck is long, so the chin stays level or even slightly tucked. And the lifting is right through the top of the head. Long spine from root to crown. Take a deep breath in. And exhale with a sigh, letting go, softening, let those shoulders melt a little bit more away from the ears. And another deep breath in, drawing the breath all the way up into the chest. Pause at the top, enjoy that moment of fullness, and then let it go. Exhale. One more. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, release anything that doesn't need to be here this morning. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. All that exists in creation is the Guru. And all that sustains our lives, the duration of life, is that Guru. Our trials, our illnesses and calamities, all that brings us to transformation is also that Guru. There is a Guru that is nearby and a Guru that is beyond the beyond. I humbly make my offering to the Guru, that beautiful remover of darkness, the remover of ignorance, the enlightenment principle that is within me and surrounds me at all times. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Guru Charanam, Shri Hari Charanam, Shri Guru Charanam, Shri Hari Charanam, Shri Guru Charanam, Shri Hari Charanam, Shri Guru Charanam, Shri Hari Charanam. At the feet of the Guru, the lotus feet of the Guru, I take refuge in God. And bringing your palms together in front of the heart, in prayer position, bring to mind and heart the name or names of any beings for you that you'd like to honor this morning in today's practice and celebration of the Guru. And if no external figure comes to mind as someone who has been the conduit for that, simply allow it to be that enlightenment principle that lives within you and surrounds you at all times. And taking a deep breath in, let's honor that Guru within and all around us with the sound of Om. And when you're ready, please remove the cushion that you're sitting on or blanket that you're sitting on and come into child's pose on your mat. And while you're in your child's pose, again, see if you can stay with that sense of the spirit of offering yourself in gratitude, and perhaps dedicating this practice to that being or beings or that enlightenment Guru principle that has touched your life. And while you're in your child's pose, see if you can allow the breath to deepen, noticing the expansion of the belly, and inviting in the ujjayi sound with your breath, especially noticing it on that exhale as you narrow the airway to slow the breath down, allowing for a more efficient exchange of oxygen to carbon dioxide. Walking the hands forward, letting the sitting bones sink a little bit more back toward the heels.
That prayer that we sang talked about bowing down and offering ourselves to that principle that is always moving through our lives as Guru, that shows up in many forms in the faces of many beings, or in many experiences that point us to the truth. When we learn to wake up to that guiding principle, we begin to see the Guru everywhere. The Guru isn't just sitting on a mountaintop wearing a long robe somewhere in an ashram or in a temple. The Guru is everywhere around us, available to us to notice every day. When we really become awake to it, we can see everything as our teacher. Inhale, rise up into your table pose and begin to find your cat-cow spinal waves. Each round a little bit deeper, flexion and extension of the spine, spreading the heart nice and wide. And then curling the toes under, feeling the stretch in the bottoms of the feet as you press the heels back behind you. Maybe this next cat stretch, if you want to come up onto your fingertips to get a little more lift, squeeze out all the breath. Chin comes toward the chest a little closer. Shoulders round a little more, and shoulder blades spread apart from one another. And then bring the palms flat, fingers spread wide. Press down and forward into the earth to press back to downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here to take your dog for a nice slow walk, pedaling the feet. When I say pedal, I mean slow motion. Press one heel down and then the other. Breathing into the length in the back of the extended leg, one at a time. Inviting a little bit more length from your sacrum all the way down through your fingertips. Let the heart melt down toward the mat a little bit more. Spread open the space between the shoulder blades a little bit more by turning the armpits toward one another. Just a little micro movement there without moving the hands. Lift the sacrum a little higher. Press the low belly toward the thighs. Big, deep breath in. And release. And then begin to walk the feet toward the front of your mat to come between the hands. Come into a forward bend. Take a little bend in the knees if you need to, and find some movement of the head. Find your yes and no and maybe. Find your connection between the front of the torso and the front of the legs. Maybe reaching around behind your calves to hug in a little bit closer, torso to legs. All the while inviting length in the spine, letting the weight of the head invite some space between each of the vertebrae. Lots of deep breath here. And then a little more softening of the knees. And we'll begin to roll up. Keep the chin tucked. I'm going to stack the lower vertebrae first, middle vertebrae, upper vertebrae, roll the shoulders down and back to come to standing, come to your mountain pose. Let the feet come to about shoulder width apart. Toes turn out 45 degrees. We're going to take empty coat sleeves. So from here, just let your arms dangle like empty coat sleeves. Just begin at first by keeping the legs steady. So it's just a movement of the torso. The hips are steady, so those hip pointers stay straight ahead. So just let it be a movement from the waist up. And see how much momentum you can get with the arms swinging, turning your heart side to side. And then softening the knees a little bit. You can lift opposite heels, get a little bounce in your step, maybe get a little more momentum with that swing. And we'll take that empty coat sleeves breathing, which is an exhale through the mouth, strong exhale from the belly into the twist. And it's the center. You take a deep breath in through the nose. Ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 ha. And begin to slow it down. Let those out breaths melt into more of a sigh. Ha, ha. And find your way back to center. Notice all of the aliveness, all of the prana flowing through you. Once again, roll the shoulders down and back, open the heart, bring your hands to your hips, and we'll take some hip circles here. Just rolling around the pelvis. Remember, if you notice, it's just my hips and just my pelvis that's moving really, and the low back, but the shoulders are staying steady over the hips. So I'm not doing this. That's a different practice. We're just isolating the hips, low back, circle the other way. The knees are slightly bent here. Just rolling around, opening up to that fluidity and gracefulness, that second chakra energy. And then coming back to stillness, just notice what you feel. And I'm going to invite you to grab a strap or anything that you can use as a strap. We're going to do this lovely shoulder and upper body opening exercise, but we're going to do it standing, which is something new that we haven't done before. So you're going to come to your mat. I have to back up so that you can see my whole body here. But come to a place where you can be we'll start with that, about shoulder width stance, just like we've been standing with our empty coat sleeves and hip circles. And let your strap be about a little bit, maybe a little wider than your shoulders, but nice and taut. So your strap is nice and taut, and inhale, draw your hands up skyward to the place where you actually feel some resistance. So you know what? If the strap is too wide and you can go all the way around back, then you need to make it shorter. But if it's too tight and you can't really lift it very high, then maybe you want to be a little bit wider. So find that sweet spot. And then bring the knuckles, I'm going to go back a little, you can see me a little bit better, and bring the knuckles back behind you. And notice if the shoulders are starting to creep up toward the ears, and see if you can create a little space there. So let the shoulders drop down even though the arms are firmly extended toward the sky. Knuckles pressing up and reaching back. Big breath in. Exhale. Keep the strap taut and just lower it down. Take the whole breath to lower it down. Inhale, lift up. Same thing. Let the whole inhale take you up to pressing up and back. Feel the armpits stretch. Feel the underside of the arms open. Big, delicious breath in through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Keep the strap taut, but lower it down. And a few more of those. Opening, lifting,
Notice if you're going into scrunchasana with your shoulders, and make sure you drop them. Lifting the arms doesn't need to mean scrunching the shoulders. Lift up, open up, exhale. One more. And release. Just take a moment to shake out your arms, let the strap go loose. Feel all that warmth and tingling. We're going to extend the strap a little bit longer now so that when you lift up, you can take one arm. So let's do, I'll mirror you here. You can take your left arm straight up and making a 90-degree angle, your right arm straight out. Again, being aware of scrunchasana in the shoulders. And let the strap be taut enough so that it's nice and tight, and you're pressing out to the right with your right hand. You're pressing up to the sky with your left hand. And then draw it back behind you. So you get that stretch in the front of the chest. Notice how much more space you have now than you did when you started. Big breath. Exhale, release. We'll try the other side. Straight up with your right hand. Straight out with your left hand. Once you have that 90-degree angle, as high and wide as you can get, that reaching, feeling the energy going beyond your hands. And see if you can draw the knuckles back so you get that spread across the chest, especially around the pectoral muscles, the upper chest on the right side. Open, open, open. Big breath and release. And let the arms shake out. Beautiful. Now bring your stance to be as wide, a little bit wider, as wide like we're doing a 5-pointed star. So from heel to heel, you're going to be as wide as the length of one of your legs. Then your toes are going to turn out 45 degrees. And we'll take that strap, and we're going to find that spot where your strap is wide enough to let you break through the barrier, whatever that barrier is for you. We'll start with just the physical barrier of the shoulder opening, enough to let your hands come back and down and let that strap come to touch behind your low back. And then circling up and around again, keeping the strap taut. Now, if it's too easy and you can just kind of go, then you might want to challenge yourself a little bit more by having the strap a little bit shorter. So lifting up and feel this place. Find that length of strap where you can feel some resistance, but that joy of breaking through whatever that obstacle or barrier is. And then you can place in your mind's eye whatever barriers in your life you are wanting or needing to break through. With awareness, with mindfulness, opening through the heart, let it touch down behind you, and then come back to center. So do a few more of those. Inhaling, opening up, and breaking on through to the other side. And exhale, bringing it down. All right. Let's take it now with a little bit of leg work. So as you inhale and come up and break on through, we're going to come right into like a goddess legs. And straighten the legs as you come back. And again, lifting up, coming into your goddess legs as you break on through, using the power of that goddess that's within you. Whether you're male or female, you've got an inner goddess to break on through those obstacles. In your goddess pose, and then straightening the legs. Let's just do one more of those, okay? Inhale, break through, come into your goddess legs. And back to straight legs, and release the strap. Shake out the arms. Feel all that warmth, aliveness, and wonderful openness in
in the shoulders and arms. We're going to stay in this stance here to come into goddess again, and we'll take it into an eagle goddess. So first, arms reach and rise into your 5-pointed star, reaching out to the ends of the earth, letting your fingers spread wide. Root your tailbone straight down so your lower back lengthens here. And the back of the neck lengthens as you reach the crown of the head skyward, which is not lifting the chin, but even keeping the chin slightly tucked. Big inhale as you grow long and wide in all directions. And exhale into your mother goddess pose. The elbows are shoulder height. Draw them back a little bit. We'll open back up to the 5-pointed star. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, open up, star. And this time when you come into goddess, hold for a couple of breaths, bringing your right elbow underneath your left, coming into your eagle arms. So eagle goddess. Try to bring your thighs as close to a 90-degree angle as you can. If you need to be higher up, you can. But if you feel that you can juice it up a little bit so that you bring the pelvis down lower, thighs come parallel to the floor, lift the elbows to shoulder height, fingertips reach to the sky. Oh yeah, you should feel a little stretch between the shoulder blades here. Ujjayi breath. And then unwinding, opening up to 5-pointed star. Big, wide, goddess embracing the world here. Big breath in, exhale back into your goddess. And this time, left arm comes underneath right. It's always fine to just have backs of the hands facing one another if wrapping the wrist doesn't feel available to you. But you want your thumbs pointing toward your face. Juice it up by lifting elbows. Ujjayi breath to give you the strength. One more breath. And then unwind. Open up 5-pointed star. Let the arms release down to your sides. We're going to take a flow now with the warrior poses. We'll start with moving from your 5-pointed star to your warrior 2. So I think you all know how to pivot the feet for that. So when you take that pivot, just make sure that you have that line that goes from your heel to your instep unbroken. So you don't want one foot to be too far forward or too far back. Heel and instep line up, and toes turn in on the what becomes your back foot. Toes turn in a little bit past center. So first starting with your 5-pointed star, big breath in. And exhale. On the next in-breath, the palms meet overhead. And exhale, pivot the hips and the feet to come into your warrior 2. Making sure outside edge of your right knee draws toward pinky toe. So I'm being your mirror here. Inhale, coming up into your 5-pointed star, palms touch in prayer overhead. Exhale, pivot the feet. And turn the hips to face the long end of your mat. Soften your shoulders and lengthen out through the heart center. From fingertips to fingertips, grow long. You want to make sure that on the extended leg, the outer edge of your foot is pressing down into the earth. And that back leg is firm. You don't want any bending in the knee. You want a nice, firm, strong base of support in that extended leg. Strong base of support with the front knee over the ankle. And notice if you can see your screen, perhaps you can use that as a mirror. Notice if you're leaning forward into that. You want that same shoulders stacked over hips and center of gravity straight up and down. So we're going to flow with breath here. Inhale, palms meet. Exhale, warrior 2 facing right. Inhale, palms meet. Exhale, warrior two, facing left. Flowing with breath at your own pace. You don't have to keep up with me. Just let your own breath be the measuring stick or the timekeeper of how long it takes you to transition from one posture to the next and to hold the posture. You hold the posture till the end of the exhale, and then you begin the inhale and time it so the top of the inhale is where your palms meet. Flowing side to side. Remembering that coming back to center, the toes are going to be out 45 degrees. And then they pivot. So you want the timing so that the pivoting is complete at the end of your exhale. So it's really a dance of movement and breath and awareness. And the next time we come to warrior two facing right, we'll add dancing. And you may want to start, okay, inhale into your dancing. Exhale back to warrior two. Inhale, star. So we're adding one more inhale, exhale to this flow. Dancing. Exhale two. Inhale, star. Palms touch at the top of the star, top of the breath. So if you have a variation of your dancing warrior, you can always take that as we move side to side with this. So perhaps you want to grab the back of the base of the skull with your hand and let the elbow look up and let your head lean back into it, look up at the sky. And that opens up the whole stretch through the rib cage area. So maybe that's one variation you want to take of your dancing warrior. Reaching for the back of your head, elbow point straight up. Or maybe a variation that you want to take involves taking a bind. So either doing both, the grab the head and the bind, or just the bind with the other hand reaching up. So you can reach back around and grab your leg, grab your thigh with opposite hand. So play a couple more times with this flow of warrior two to dancing, back to warrior two to star. And the next time you complete that flow on the left, come back to center, palms touch overhead, exhale back to the heart. Just to let the arms rest for a moment. We're going to go back into that, but we're going to add an extended side angle. So we'll add one more piece to it. Opening up to 5-pointed star. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, palms touch overhead. Exhale, warrior two to the right. Inhale, your version of dancing. Exhale, right through warrior two, forearm to thigh. Inhale, extended side angle, Parshva-Konasana, Uttita Parshva-Konasana. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, dancing. Exhale, back through warrior two. And inhale, growing that long line from the outer edge of the extended leg, that foot to your fingertips. Remember the diagonal line and not having your hips sticking up. So their stance needs to be long enough. Dancing through warrior two. Inhale, extended. Exhale, two. Inhale, touch overhead. Exhale, two. Let it dance. Back to your warrior. and expand into your side angle. And this time we'll take that side angle into a bind. Palms touch overhead. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, dancing. Exhale, through warrior two. Inhale, extended side angle. Hold here. Exhale, hands back behind you, or upper hand back behind you, and take your version of the bind, which could be just grabbing your thigh with your left hand, or you can bring your right upper arm underneath and try to grab your wrist behind you. If it makes your whole torso fold forward, though, then that kind of defeats the purpose of the bind. This is a strong pose. You want to keep that upper shoulder rolled open, and you want to try to keep the body in one plane so the torso doesn't fold forward. Release, come back to warrior two. Enjoy that straightening of the legs with palms touch overhead. Exhale one more time this side. So take it into your dancing warrior. Exhale it back through warrior two. Take it into your Uttita Parshva Konasana. Extend it and notice that Shrugasana going on and see if you can correct for that. Grow long, just feel that lengthening through that whole right side of your body. Right hand comes back behind you and take your expression of this bind. Grab your thigh or just back of the hand to the opposite hip or reach underneath, keeping the torso rolled open. Look up at the sky if you can. You don't need to hold for long here. Reach long as you release the bind. Come back to your warrior two. Open up to your five-pointed star. Palms touch overhead. And pivot on the heels so the toes turn straight ahead. And you're going to anchor down through the outer edges of your feet, which are parallel to the short ends of your mat. Come into a half forward bend, airplane arms, so your spine is parallel to the floor, a long horizontal line from your tailbone to the crown of your head. That means the back of your neck needs to lengthen too. And then you've got another axis, another horizontal line from your one hand to the other, right at shoulder height. Notice how your belly muscles are engaging here to support the back body. Active core. Notice how the backs of the legs are just lighting up with that delicious stretch. Yes. And then come into a forward fold. Your hands can come down to the mat or to a block. And just enjoy this moment of Prasarita Padottanasana, wide leg forward bend. Keep the sitting bones spreading wide. Keep the outer edges of the feet anchored down. And take a moment here to explore on your own. You can either have your hands under your shoulders and give yourself a half lift with your arm bones stacked, or you can walk the hands forward into a wide leg down dog, melting the heart down to the opened space, the center point between the feet. And you can do that little test to make sure that you haven't lost your center of gravity. You're going to have to keep drawing your hips back here and see if you can lift the palms off of the floor while your arms are extended. You'll feel the legs power up here when you do this. The core is going to power up, and you may notice that you adjust by intuitively just letting your hips come back. That helps you stay with the proper center of gravity. And then you can lower your hands down and walk them down underneath the shoulders. Lift up halfway. And we're going to walk the hands around to your right, pivoting the feet into a low lunge. So just bring your left knee down. Your right knee is over ankle. And you're just coming into that kneeling lunge here. And just let that be a moment of stretching through the front of the hip flexor, psoas area, and lengthening through your spine. If it feels good here to take it into a little runner stretch for a moment, you can do that. or maybe moving it back and forth from lunge to runners. So you'd be coming from a bent knee on the right leg to a straight leg as you draw the hips back. We're going to take it into a lizard lunge, and there's lots of ways that you can vary this one. So come back to your low lunge here with your hips facing the short end of your mat. And then bring your right hand to the inside of your right foot. So now your hands are under your shoulders, and you can just move, just heel toe your right foot a little bit further over to the side, to the right side of your mat. And from here, you can either stay right here, maybe this is as far as you want to go in your lizard, or you can curl your back toes under, lift up into high lizard. And that gives you a little bit more room to slither. But you want to let that back leg be powered up, back of the knee lifted, pressing out through the heel. So you can take a little slithering moment. Or you could come down onto your forearms with your elbows underneath your shoulders and your forearms parallel, and that juices it up a little bit more. Try to stay long in the spine rather than rounding in the upper back. What can be helpful here is to take a block and make a little shelf with your block underneath your arms if the floor is a little too low to reach. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my block and I'm putting it sideways, going in a sideways direction next to my foot. So the long end of the block is lined up with the front or the edge of the mat, the short edge of the mat. And then here you can also play with coming into rolling onto the outer edge of your right foot, maybe coming back up onto your hands for this or staying down on your forearms to get that nice hip opener, letting the right knee come out to the side. You might want to see if you can see the bottom of your foot. Breathing into that. It's a strong one. Keeping the back leg powered up. If you need to lower your back knee, that's fine, but don't let it just mindlessly sag. Make it a decision. And we're going to come back into a lunge position, placing the left palm down under your left shoulder and let the right hand rise to the sky, coming into revolved side angle. If you need your back knee down, that's fine, or have it be a full high lunge twist. So lifting right hand to the sky, and then bring the hand down inside that foot, straighten both legs, walk all the way around through that wide leg forward bend. Take a moment here to breathe, and we're going to take it on the other side. Take another deep breath here, again in your Prasarita Padottanasana. I just love that name. Walk the hands as you pivot on the feet, back into a lunge on this side. So you're going to lower your right knee down and slide it back a little so you've got that diagonal from knee all the way up through the shoulders, really all the way up through the crown of the head. And the left knee is firm over the ankle. And just take a moment to breathe into that. Wiggle and waggle a little bit. Notice if the shoulders are shrugging and see if you can invite some softness. It's just such an insidious thing with shoulder tension there that we have to bring our awareness there again and again and say, oh yeah, soft. If you can take it into a runner's stretch, if you did that on the other side, drawing the hips back, lengthening your spine as you bow your heart down toward your leg. Maybe taking it into a slow flow pulse here, lunge to runners.
And then coming back into your lunge, we're going to move the left hand to the inside of the left foot. I'm going to invite you to take that lizard lunge, that was the word I was looking for, the lizard lunge exploration. So you can start with your knee down and just find some micro movements here, exploring the territory, or curling the toes under and lifting the back knee so you have a little more room for slithering. Prana has its own intelligence and ways that it knows where it needs to flow and move through us. And when we learn to listen to that, our own life force, our own prana, actually becomes a form of guru. And we learn to tune into that and let our practice be intuitively guided. Intuition is a kind of an allowing the guru to move through us as that innate wisdom. If you need to come down on your elbows, you can play with that. But you listen to your own innate wisdom as to what movements are appropriate for you here, what supports are appropriate for you here as you move through this sequence. Maybe the most appropriate thing is to back off for some of you. So Guru can show up in the most basic way as our own inner guidance on the mat and in anything we do in our lives. You can take it into coming onto the outer edge of your right foot. I'm not telling you this to be a Simon says do this, Simon says do that, but just as a reminder of what we did on the other side. But you let yourself be self-guided in this exploration. And when you are ready to take it into that revolved side angle twist, either knee up or knee down, press your right hand under the shoulder, let your left hand lift to the sky. Keep the inner thigh on the left side active toward your belly so the knee stays over the ankle, and expand wide like the sun. Exhale, release, hand comes down under the shoulder, straighten both legs, walk it back around to that wide leg forward bend, Prasarita Padottanasana. And then coming back up onto your palms, pivot on the heels so the toes turn out, 45 degrees, soften the knees, and we'll roll up, back through a soft goddess, opening up to a wide, bright, radiant star. Palms come together overhead, and exhale back down to the heart. Beautiful. And walk the feet together and just give the arms and legs a little shake out. Any wiggles and waggles that feel good here to just release and let go of the sequence we just did. That was a strong sequence. So your legs might be feeling it. If they're not feeling it now, they might feel it later. And while we're standing, let's come into a little balance play before we take it down to the mat. I'm just going to check the time. Yes, okay. Little balance play. I'm going to invite you to come into, some of you might find that for this balance practice you might need the support of a wall with a hand next to the wall, or even standing near a wall so that you know the wall has got your back if you tend to lose your balance. So do that if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to begin with coming into like a wind relieving pose standing. You're going to just clasp your hands around your shin. Keep your shoulders stacked. So if you notice this makes you go into like a rounded Shlumpasana, then you might want to have your hands behind your thigh instead. So you want to keep that open heart, shoulders rolled down and back, shoulders stacked beautifully over the hips, and draw that thigh in toward the belly. Let there be a micro bend in the standing leg, not a bend that anyone can see, but just a subtle unlocking of the knee. Lengthen through the neck, lengthen up through the top of the head. And those of you who wish to can take this into Utthita Padangusthasana, extended hand to toe pose. So some of you may we can actually start by just pressing out through the heel. And you can have your hands clasped underneath your thigh. And you want to try to find those two axes, horizontal and vertical. So see if you can keep the hip at the foot at hip height, and draw the shoulders back so that they are stacked over the hips. So this might be the first part of your practice. Let's try that, actually, on the other side before we do the full hand-to-toe pose, because you're going to get fatigued on one side. So shake out the standing leg. We'll try that on the other side, and then we'll take it into pressing out through the heel. And then we'll try it into hand-to-toe using the strap. So wind-relieving pose on this side. If you have access to either using your screen or using a mirror to see whether you are still maintaining that mountain alignment, that would be very helpful. Because sometimes we can't always tell when we're going into a slouchasana on the upper back. Shoulders need to be planted firmly over the hips. So the heart is still expanded wide open. Thigh comes in a little bit closer to the belly. You might actually even be feeling this as a stretch in the hip flexor of the standing leg. Don't want to lock your knee on the standing leg, but you don't want to bend it. Just a gentle unlocking. And then if you can hook your hands underneath your thigh, perhaps pressing straight out. So now you've got a vertical and horizontal axis. Your hand can be closer to your body if you notice it pulls your shoulders forward. Ujjayi breath. This can be a strong one. And notice if you're compensating by leaning back. You want to keep that same mountain vertical position with your body and horizontal position with your leg. Foot is flexed, you're pressing out through the heel. And again, you get still lots of benefit if you're doing this near a wall. Just try to be about an inch away from the wall so that you're not depending on it too much. And when you're ready to release, let it go, shake out, wiggle and waggle. And we can take it into a full practice of extended hand-to-toe pose or hand-to-strap. So hand-to-toe pose, I'll stand sideways so you can see. We'll start again with whatever the first leg you did, whatever side you were on when we began. And you're going to grab your big toe with your peace fingers And before you stick your foot out, this is very important. Do you notice how I'm paying attention to staying in mountain? So what often people do is they rush into pressing their legs out. So they grab the foot and they press, and then they're like this with a rounded spine. So really ground yourself in mountain first before you press out. And if you notice that you can't straighten your legs or it rounds your shoulders with grabbing your foot, then that's a sign you need to use your strap. The strap goes around the instep of the foot, but make sure that you remember that the strap needs to be, you need to be holding the strap close enough to your foot that you don't have too much slack. Because here's what happens when you have too much slack. You lean back because that makes you adjust for your center of gravity. And this is not what you want to be doing, okay? Even though the leg is parallel, your body is not in mountain anymore. Or the other thing that people do is they end up bending their elbow. And then you're using a lot of extra energy here that you don't need to use. You want that nice long line of energy through the arm. Shoulders, stay in the shoulder girdle, level with one another. So that's the key as to how long your strap should be. You should think of your strap as an extension of your fingers and only use as much as you need. So I'm going to invite you to take that on both sides. So opening out to the side if you want to take it into an open hip practice. Yes. And then bringing it back to center before releasing. I don't know where you are in your practice, so I'm just demonstrating other side. So I'll demonstrate without the strap here. Finding my mountain. Taking a moment to do that, pressing out, foot stays at hip height. I'm doing it in kind of fast forward. You're going to take a couple of breaths in each part of the sequence. So a couple of breaths to stick the leg out straight, a couple of breaths to open the hip nice and wide. And bringing back the way you came. So we don't fall out of the pose, but we come out with gracefulness and control. I know sometimes easier said than done, but enjoy your exploration. Give you another minute or two to play with that. I'll see where you are with that. All right. And when you're ready, you can begin to wind down if you're still working on your hand to toe pose, you can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to invite those of you who are ready to transition to the next thing to come into your child's pose on the mat, facing the front of your mat. And as we come back into this child's pose, it's a good opportunity to touch back into that sense of dedication. Because when we start to get into the nuts and bolts of all the postures, do this, do that, we sometimes forget about that we're making this practice an offering. My teacher Ram Dass said something very important for those of you who may have come in a little bit late. One of the most important things to remember about honoring the Guru is that the Guru, God, and self are one. You're honoring that wisdom principle within yourself that shows up through Guru, which points you back to the God or divinity within yourself. And some people get very nervous about surrendering to a guru for the reasons that I spoke about earlier.
And Ram Dass said, we are not surrendering to a person. When we surrender to the Guru, we are surrendering to the place where Guru, God, and self are one. That opens up the whole thing for me. Guru, God, and self are one. Rise up into your table pose and take a little bit of cat-cow just to reset the spine. Curl the toes under, press it back to downward facing dog. Take it forward into a plank pose. High push-up, shoulders stacked over the wrists. Core is firm. Legs are firm. Exhale, lower down your knees, chest to chin. Leave the buttocks up in the air so you come into that Ashtanga Namaskara 8-point pose. Draw the heart forward, take your expression of cobra. For some of you, that might be baby cobra. Some of you are going to take a full expression of cobra. Either way, you keep the pelvis planted. Soften the shoulders down, spread the heart wide open. Big inhale. Exhale, release. Press up through plank or table and meet in downward dog. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that same sequence again on your own because I know lots of you like that. We didn't do much of that today, so I'll give you a chance to come back into your plank. Inhale, flow through that connecting vinyasa, knees, chest, chin, opening up to cobra and meeting in down dog. And let the heart melt down toward the mat. Press down and forward with the fingers and thumbs. Now we're going to transition from here into a pigeon pose. And I'm going to give you two options. For those of you who want a gentler practice, you can simply lift the right leg behind you, I'll mirror you, into a three-legged dog. Draw the knee in toward the chest and then settle it down into pigeon. Okay, that would be the gentler practice. For those of you who want a juicier practice, you can follow me. From downward dog, sweep the right leg back behind you. Keep the left foot anchored down into the mat if you can. Press away with the hands. Big breath in. Exhale, knee to chest. Press down into the hands. You're going to lift up like there's a string behind your heart. So the core is going to draw in. You're going to round the upper back a little bit as you draw the knee in. Hovering pigeon. Inhale, press back. So you're not going to let that foot touch down. You're going to go back into your three-legged dog. Push down and forward into the hands. Exhale, right knee comes to right elbow. Hold it like in a one-legged plank. Firm core, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, press back into your three-legged dog. We're going to take that right knee across to the left elbow. Shoulders over wrists, firm plank. Having fun? Press it back into your three-legged dog. Inhale. Exhale, bring the knee into the center, into the chest again. Push away. Suck in and up through the navel. And settle into your pigeon pose on this side. Oh, yeah. So your right knee is going to turn toward the right, behind the right wrist. And wiggle and waggle a little bit here. If you need to place a blanket or any support underneath your right buttock, you can do that. And first begin with an elegant upright pigeon so we get that delicious open chest. So we enjoy the back bend benefit of pigeon. Eka Pada Raja Kapotasana. One-legged king pigeon pose. And then coming down onto your forearms, maybe just letting your head rest on a block, or on your fists is fine. Coming into resting pigeon, or walking the hands forward and let the forehead touch the earth, keeping the hips squared to the front. So there's always an awareness of drawing the opposite hip from your bent knee. So in this case, your left hip crease forward to level with the right. And just see if you can release and let go into pigeon as a resting pose for a couple of more breaths. And then the hands walk back under the shoulders. Slowly rise up. Actually come back down, let's come back down onto the forearms. And you're going to pivot on your left forearm to grab your right knee. I don't know how easily you can see me here. You're going to grab your right knee with your left hand. And then you can just take your right hand and press away, which invites the torso to come into a twist. See if you can tuck your left shoulder under your right and keep lengthening from your tailbone to your crown. To juice this up, you can come up onto your fingertips on the right hand. And if you want to play with this a little bit more, this is fun. You can press it, support yourself by pressing into your left elbow and release the right hand and let it come around to take a bind. So that could be the back of the hand, right hand to the left hip, or grabbing your big toe, which is on your right foot, but it's sticking out on your left side. So grab that big toe that's right there by your left ribs and press into the left elbow, roll open the right shoulder, look up at the sky. Oh yeah. And release. Press into the palms, curl the left toes under to press back to downward facing dog. If you have energy and would like to take it into another connecting vinyasa of your choice, feel free to do that. Meeting in downward dog, we're going to take that sequence. For those of you who want the juicier sequence, I'll guide you through it. For those of you who want the gentler one, you can just lift behind you with the left leg and float right into pigeon and take any variations you'd like. Otherwise, for those of you who want that flying pigeon sequence, and get yourself firmly planted in your down dog, inhale, sweep up with the left leg. Three-legged dog, exhale, hovering pigeon, knee into heart, press away with the hands. Imagine that string behind your heart lifting you up. And inhale, three-legged dog, pressing down and forward into the hands. Exhale, left knee to left elbow. Inhale, three-legged dog. Find that diagonal line, toes to fingers. Exhale, cross over to the other side. Left knee to right elbow. Yeah. And then back to your three-legged dog. Inhale, one more time, hovering pigeon to the heart. Press away, round the upper back, pull the navel in. And float it into your pigeon pose. Take it into your elegant open pigeon heart first. Notice any tension in the shoulders and breathe some softness there. Spread the heart nice and wide. Let it shine forth. Maybe even wiggling your left foot a little closer to your right hand. Squaring your hips with one another. Making sure the back knee, the right knee, is facing straight down, top of the foot flat. All 5 toes on that right foot pressing into the mat. Once you take a moment to enjoy that lovely back bend here, you can melt it down into a resting pigeon, variation of your choice. Find any micro movements that your inner intuition, that Guru principle within, is guiding you toward. Use lots of breath to invite a release. Enjoy the sense of aliveness. Even though it's strong. Sometimes people mistake discomfort, the discomfort of a strong stretch, for something bad. But when you think about it, it's actually how we experience deeper aliveness. When we allow ourselves, I've heard it said that life begins beyond, at the end of your comfort zone. You don't want to get into terrible pain, sharp pain that makes you contract. But if it's just that sort of edgy discomfort that feels like, this is hard. Hard is actually where the growth is. And that's actually where we can access our deeper aliveness. Think about giving birth, okay? We all went through not we all, those of us who are mothers went through the deep moments of discomfort in the birthing process. But is there any other place in life where there is greater life energy flowing than that? Wow. So just think of that next time you're in a strong pose. Come onto your forearms and we'll take it into that twist sequence. So you're kind of in sphinxy arms here. And then you're going to pivot on your right elbow. Right hand grabs the left knee. You're going to slide the left hand just beside the mat or beside your knee. And you can press into the left hand to straighten your left arm as you press into the right elbow. So enjoy that twist as you're lengthening. And either just stay here, maybe pulsing with a little bit, releasing and re-entering the depth of it. Or you can take it into that bind, reaching back behind you, maybe grabbing your big toe if that feels available. Rolling that left shoulder open, looking up at the sky. Oh yeah. And when you're ready to release, hands come back under the shoulders, curl back toes under, press back into your downward facing dog. Stretch the backs of the legs. Deep cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Come on down to your knees and come onto your back. Hugging your knees in toward your chest. Take a little Apanasana, rocking side to side. And after doing that long hold with pigeon, it might feel good to do a little hip circle. So bring your hands onto your knees once you settle back onto center of your back. And just maybe taking some circles here. One way. Circling the other way. And I'm going to give you a moment of yogi's choice time to use your own inner guidance, your own guru within to guide you as to what your last closing posture should be. So for some of you, you might want to take a gentle bridge. Remember, we're winding down, so you don't want to do something too fiery here. Maybe you want to take a little legs up in the air for a little inversion. Maybe you want to take your happy baby or another nice hip opening practice like supine bound angle. Maybe a twist is calling to you that would really feel good. So let yourself be guided by your own wisdom principle within, which we could call Guru. Please transition to the other side if you're doing something that is a twist or something that needs to be done on both sides. And as you complete your sequence, and take your time to finish up, I want to offer you these words from Krishna Das, one of my teachers, who talks about, in his words, basically what I explained earlier about the concept of guru. He says, Guru is a hard concept for most Westerners to grasp. But very simply, the guru is whoever or whatever removes the darkness from our being. For me, the guru is love, the space I enter when I chant. That space can be called anything: God, soul, presence, vastness, awareness. To me, it is guru. The guru is the living presence within our own hearts. That presence and love might show up in our lives in different ways. Whenever it does show up, it is very powerful because for a moment we see a flash of our own beauty. We see ourselves through the eyes of love. So please find your way into Shavasana for a few moments of integration, final relaxation. See if there's any places in the body where there might be that holding that creeps up on you. Bring awareness there and invite it to soften with the next out breath. Maybe in the shoulders, maybe in the belly, maybe in the muscles around the face, the eyes, the jaw. All of your teachers all of your guides, all of those wise ones who have shined the light for you in this lifetime, have brought you to this moment, to this place. It may have been a spiritual mentor, or maybe it was your 6th grade teacher. Somebody, somewhere, you've probably been blessed with many of them, guided you on your path and pointed you to your own inner wisdom, beauty, and radiance. So let go now into that space, that place of beauty and radiance and light within you, into your own inner guru, your Satguru, true guru, which is that place of boundless love that is the truth of who you are. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, you and I. Begin to deepen your breath and bring some movement into your fingers and toes. Any movements that bring you into present time. find your way over onto one side. And slowly bring yourself into a seated position. And to close our practice, I'm going to invite you to come into Gyan Mudra, which is the mudra of cultivating that inner wisdom, the mudra of wisdom and knowledge. So the palms turn up, and you bring your thumb and the tip of your pointer finger and thumb together. So you make a circle. And the other fingers are just gently extended, and the backs of the hands are on the thighs or the knees. So just take a moment to close your eyes with your hands in Gyan Mudra, the mudra of inner wisdom, with long spine and open heart, just as we began our practice. And perhaps once again to bring to mind honoring all those who have been guru for you. All those beings, those life circumstances, or perhaps just that intuition, that inner knowing that has been your guide. When we learn to see correctly, everything becomes teacher. The one prayer that Krishnadas always uses to close his chanting sessions is this: if we know anything about a path at all, it's only because of the great ones that have gone before us. Out of their love and kindness, they have left some footprints for us to follow. So, in the same way that they wish for us, we wish that all beings everywhere, including ourselves, be safe, be happy, have good health and enough to eat. And may we all live at ease of heart with whatever comes to us in life. And if you'd like to bring your hands back together in prayer in front of the heart, we'll close our practice with the sound of Om. Taking a deep breath in, honoring all that has been Guru for us. Happy Guru Purnima, everyone.